Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Thursday, June 12th, 2025. Well, we got a lot to talk about for this update. We got some heavy rains, some flooding issues down in Texas that's going to kind of linger into Louisiana, Arkansas, and really across the southeast going into this upcoming weekend. So you folks in the southeast need to pay attention to this. We're also going to be still tracking that big dome of heat that's supposed to kind of build across the middle of the country, especially as we head toward the start of summer after the 20th or so. And we'll show you the latest long-range models on that. And of course, we're going to give you the latest update on the tropics. Got a couple areas of disturbed weather there out in the eastern Pacific. So we got a lot to get into for this update. Now, before we get there, I do need your help. We're trying to make that climb to 10,000 subscribers, and we could use your assistance if you consider joining our family. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate the support, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with that almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, we got plenty to get into, so let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our weather hotspot here for your Thursday as we're looking at flash flood problems here across areas of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. We got numerous flash flood watches up in there. You see those burgundy colors in there? Those are flash flood warnings. So some very, very heavy rains have been falling in across Texas. In fact, some of these rainfall totals just blow your mind what we've seen here storm total wise here. In fact, we'll go ahead and show you the latest radar right now. And look at this, between Victoria and Bay City, upwards of 11.5 inches of rain so far. You go up to the Houston metro area here to the east of town there, and they've been close to 5 inches of rain. So some very, very heavy rainfall totals falling in the area, and the rain continues to fall. You can kind of see that right now as I go ahead and put this into motion. You're seeing some rain and thunderstorms there over Galveston Bay, heading over into East Texas, over into the Beaumont area. And these floodings will continue to be a problem. This is associated with an upper level disturbance, which we're going to track on the models here. That's going to be a slow mover. It's going to be kind of meandering across the southeast and really going to take a while before it clears on out of the way. So summertime flooding is going to continue to be a problem, obviously, in a day like today. Just remember, it only takes about 1 foot of moving water to move a vehicle. So if you see it, a place flooded, don't drown, turn around, don't become a statistic. So as we look at what's going on out there right now, we're going to see that moderate risk, as we just showed you there, across portions of southeastern Texas. That includes the Houston metro area. This will stretch up into Arkansas as well. Got another pocket here for today up across areas of the Dakotas and Minnesota with some hefty thunderstorms expected up that way as well. Now going into your Friday, that little pocket's just going to kind of sit there across Arkansas and into Mississippi. Again, that flooding, that's going to be very slow moving little upper level disturbance there. That's going to take a few days to clear on out. There it is on your Saturday. As we go into your Saturday, this is going to stretch from the areas in the mid-Atlantic back into the south central portion of the United States. Again, that bullseye sitting across Arkansas and Mississippi once again. So you can see several days of consistent rains that'll be causing some flooding problems there. Then it kind of backs off a little bit here as we go into your Sunday here for the mid-Atlantic, stretching back into the parts of the southeast. Another little pocket up here across areas of the high plains to watch there going into the weekend. And then finally wrapping things up, going to your day 5 outlook going into next week. Again, a little pocket there in the mid-Atlantic near the D.C. area heading down toward the Carolinas. And another little pocket out here in the middle of the country across Minnesota, back toward Kansas and into areas of Wyoming. They'll have to watch pretty closely. So let's go ahead and check out the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. Hot off the presses, as we do have a slight risk for severe weather kind of showing up here in the yellow. This is areas up here toward South Dakota, stretching back into Nebraska. We're going to have to watch that for today. Got marginal risk around that, kind of going from Minnesota back down toward Colorado and into areas of New Mexico. Another little swath here across the southeast and south central portion of the United States, obviously here from Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, back toward Texas. Another little pocket here across Georgia and the Carolinas. And a little pocket up here across portions of Pennsylvania and into New Jersey. Let's go ahead and break down the threat levels for today. We'll first look at the tornado threat, which is going to be running highest down here to the south. This is an upper level disturbance, folks. It's kind of got a little bit of a spin to it. So with a little bit of wind shear there in the atmosphere, a little helicity spin, could see an isolated threat of a tornado in here in this zone. So we're talking areas from Memphis back down here toward Monroe, Louisiana, back down toward Houston. So in this zone right here, again, we're talking 2% here for a potential tornado in that zone. How about the wind threat for today? Obviously, that's going to shift back up here toward the north. That's that 15% swath where that slight risk was at. Across South Dakota, coming back into Nebraska. Then we got these other little pockets, obviously, here across the south central U.S., back down toward Houston, Atlanta, Greenville's under the gun here, with little pockets of isolated severe weather possible there. and up toward Pennsylvania, Scranton, heading over to Allentown. They'll see a possibility of some strong gusty winds, maybe some individual severe thunderstorms with that one as well. So what about the next couple of days ahead? Let's take a look at the day 2 and day 3 outlook. Day 2 outlook here, again showing a larger swath for severe weather here, stretching from Montana, coming all the way down into Nebraska, into areas of Kansas and northern Texas here, going in for tomorrow. And then our day 3 kind of generally sitting in the same zone on marginal risk, although it won't surprise me on the day 3 if that gets updated as well. So it looks like the things will begin to shift for more of the severe weather will be taking place in the middle of the country. Now, before we go ahead and do a deep dive into our models, I want to give you a quick update here on the tropics, as we do have a couple of areas of disturbed weather there in the eastern Pacific. Of course, we watch these because you never know when some of these moisture might get pulled up into the portions of the United States. But right now, that red zone is looking at about a 90% chance of possible tropical depression to form. The one behind it only about 20%. So we'll be watching the one out ahead of this as looking at the satellite imagery here for you Thursday morning. We are seeing the thunderstorms generally on the increase, so it's pretty likelihood we're going to get a named storm here pretty shortly. Now, as far as the Atlantic is concerned, remember we're watching the Gulf of Mexico in the southeastern coast. Climatologically speaking, looking in the past, these are the hot zones where we see activity to develop. And for right now, it is looking all quiet. The latest from the National Hurricane Center is keeping it all quiet for the next 7 days. So no tropical development expected out there in the Atlantic. In fact, satellite imagery is showing very limited thunderstorm activity out there for right now. The intertropical convergence zone is pretty quiet and still pretty far south. But we're also dealing with a lot of Saharan dust continues to pull on out here in the Atlantic as well. And as long as that's going to continue to be out there, activity will be very, very limited. So we're first going to go ahead and focus in on your short-term forecast. It's going to take you out here for the next couple of days, and then we'll go take a look at your long range going in toward next week and beyond. So, well, again, what we're going to be watching here is, again, this swirl here in the middle of the country. This is associated with that upper-level disturbance here down across the deep south. It's been causing a lot of the problems there in Texas. This thing's going to be swirling. You notice a little swirl there to it. That's why we got that tornado risk right through there. You see that swirl taking place there across Arkansas, for example. These thunderstorms showing up here heading toward tomorrow morning. So, again, that's going to be unsettled weather there for today as that little disturbance rolls out of Texas. We've also got another disturbance up here toward the north here on your Thursday, up here across in Montana and through the Dakotas. That'll be setting up some heavy thunderstorms up there, as well as that flooding risk bullseye we had up that way. So that'll be moving off toward the east as well. And we're going to remain unsettled across the southeast. The main reason is this thing's not really in a big hurry to get on out of here. And, of course, it's got some very nice thunderstorms showing up there overnight here for tonight, going into Friday morning there across areas of Minnesota. So some localized flooding not out of the question for there as well. Now, as we go throughout the day going into your Friday, so we'll begin to shift off toward the east. But, again, notice we're going to remain unsettled here across areas of the mid-Atlantic, the Midwest, into the southeast. So you should be seeing some scattered storms out there. A few out here in the Intermountain region as well. And you're seeing, again, some of that rain here coming across the Great Lakes and going into areas of the northeast throughout the day on your Friday. And this will move on toward the east. Looks like we start to enhance that rain chance there across the northeast. Look at that, all that rain there on Saturday morning there across Maine, heading back over toward Ohio. So definitely very much on the unsettled side here. And you also got some storms again back into Arkansas once again, where they don't need that rain. They're going to get some more as another complex of storms roll is into that area. So with all these thunderstorms, as you can see kind of parading, I'll go ahead and put this back into motion, you know you're going to get some pretty hefty rainfall amounts that are going to be sitting over there, especially across Arkansas. It's looking like a big bullseye there, at least over the next 60 to 84 hours. So let's go ahead and talk about those rainfall totals. And as you can see, where we got the hefty thunderstorms lining up across portions of Minnesota, stretching back up here toward the Dakotas. We got a big bullseye there. We got another one here across Texas and into Arkansas, dealing with that. And then wherever you get these general thunderstorms here across portions of Ohio River Valley, the southeast, you're going to have some localized rains up to 1 to 2 inches. But let's go ahead and focus in on the hot spots here. For example, going in toward Arkansas. So we're talking about 5 inches of rain there. We're talking 4 inches of rain to the Little Rock area. So some pretty hefty rains there. Down here toward Texas, around the Houston area, 3.88 inches, 5.94 inches. This area's there, into the blues, you're going to see 5 inches plus in those zones. So both of Arkansas and East Texas, where we have the flash flood watches up, are going to see a significant amount of rain. And then obviously we got it up here toward the north across South and North Dakota into Minnesota. Looks like north of the Minneapolis area and going into northern portions of Wisconsin. So we've got some pretty hefty rains and pretty hefty thunderstorms that are going to be dumping these rainfall amounts. Now, as far as temperatures are concerned, because of the clouds and rain, much cooler here where it normally should be a lot hotter. These temperatures here only sitting in the 70s thanks to the clouds and rains, for example, across the southeastern portions of Oklahoma. We do have the heat building across areas of the southwest. Looks like the monsoon season is going to be kicking in pretty earnestly after the 15th. They've kind of got an early jump of some of the rain already, but it looks like the heat's starting to build. And usually when you start seeing that indication, plus some weakness that's going to be developing there, I think the monsoon's going to be kicking in pretty significantly here toward the end of the month. Not looking bad here across the Northeast. You're seeing temperatures in the 70s and SIPs as well because of the rainfall. So other than parts of Texas and the Southwest, really not that bad here for today temperature-wise. Let's go and look at your morning lows here for your Friday. Go into your Friday morning here. We'll take this up till 7 o'clock in the morning. Pretty mild over a lot of the country. You notice we're starting to trim away that green, which is your coolest temperatures. You still got some 50s and 40s up across the Northeast. High Plains, look at some 50s and 40s up there and across the Intermountain region. But most everybody else, we see that yellow, that's 60s and 70s. Pretty warm weather there. How about your daytime highs on your Friday? Let's take a look at those here a little bit. So go to 5 o'clock. Yeah, seeing a little more purple there across portions of Texas. Things heating up back in the 90s up there. But the High Plains behind that little front going to the north, hey, we got some 60s. That's feeling pretty good up there in South Dakota and North Dakota. And looking at 60s up in Minnesota as well. And again, the unsettled weather for the Northeast going into Friday, 70s and 60s. Southeast, moderately warm, mid-80s, but a lot of scattered showers and thunderstorms into that zone as well. Let's go into your Saturday morning. Let's check out your Saturday morning lows. We'll do that one more time here. We'll go all the way out into this model run here. And you can see, again, a big part of the country seeing 60s and 70s. The green zone up across the north, across the Northeast, up across areas of the Dakotas and Minnesota and the Pacific Northwest. If you want to get away from the heat, those are the places to go for right now. Now, as far as the long term, let's go look at your next week here or so, the couple weeks. We've been talking about this pattern change. It's been really consistent here. This is the jet stream, and one thing that we're starting to see is, again, this ridging here in the middle of the country. Look at this big ridging here after we get past the official start of summer. You're seeing that high pressure start to build in here. So when that happens, when we start seeing that high pressure start to establish itself in the upper levels, and it takes place after the 20th, so a little unsettled for the next week, and then after that, you start seeing that high pressure start to form in there. Right there. So let me back this up here. And you start seeing there, that high pressure sitting right there. I'll put the big high right there. Boom. Right there. You get that high pressure system. So that's going to indicate we're going to see things begin to dry out later in the month. Should see a little decrease in rainfall activity, and that heat's really going to start to build across there in the middle of the country. The 500 millibar height anomaly is also showing this again. When you see in that oranges, that's high pressure building there. The blues, that's your troughs, that's your low pressure systems there. So as we go deeper into the month, as we get past the 20th, which is of course the official start of summer, I think it's on the 21st there. You see this big area of high pressure here by Sunday the 22nd. Very nice. Pretty good storm system here off the northwest. That'll keep it unsettled up there. A little unsettled in the Northeast, but we got a big heat dome that's going to start to film in the middle of the country. And the models have been pretty consistent on this now for the last few runs. So I'm buying what the European is selling here. So if you've been saying, hey, it hasn't been that hot so far this summer, well, get ready, folks. It's coming, all right? So let's go ahead and look at your precipitation here over the next 7 days. We already did the first 2. Now we're going to do day 2 through 5. We'll focus in on that. The southeast and the east, that's going to remain unsettled. So if you guys got any plans this weekend, just plan accordingly. It's going to be a little bit wet here across the southeast. There's your Sunday afternoon. The mid-Atlantic still looking stormy as well. So both Saturday and Sunday looking kind of stormy here in the eastern third of the United States. Let's go into Monday afternoon. Again, kind of hit and miss. Remember, we're expecting the thunderstorms to kind of shift back out here toward the plains here in the days ahead. So it looks like that's going to continue into early next week as well. But just kind of air mass thunderstorms. We really don't have any big major storm systems coming your way. There's a disturbance here middle of the week, a little storm system here across the high plains and in the Dakotas, coming down in, not Dakotas here, coming into Missouri and Iowa with some thunderstorms there. That'll kind of track into the northeast. There it goes going into Thursday. Kind of as that quick moving flow across the northern tier kind of moves on. But the south tier, really not looking too bad here across the deep south, and definitely staying drier out there in the Pacific Northwest. Precipitation-wise, next 7 days, here's how it's shaking up again, where those thunderstorms are tracking across the high plains. A lot of that's going to fall here over the next 2 to 3 days, and as well as this down here across the southeast. We'll get some rains here across the mid-Atlantic. Look how dry it is out here in the California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. Yeah, definitely drying out there. And we are getting some rains in the northeast, but really not all that bad. It's really not looking too impressive there. It looks like generally some of these rainfall amounts, generally less than a half inch, showing 0.41 right there. So really not that bad. All right, so let's go ahead and look at your climate outlook here, see if it's kind of backing what we're seeing here as far as the outlook for the next the 6 to 10 day period here. So a lot of the country is going to be heating up. We've been talking about this for a little while now, and boy, is it showing here from the 17th to the 21st. As that big heat dome starts to build, we're going to see above normal temperatures here over a big part of the country. So H-O-T. I'll just kind of spell it out for you. It's going to get hot, except for in the northwest. Obviously, you got that storm system coming up there in the northwest. We just showed you that's going to be kind of cooling things down there. How about the 8 to 14 days? Does that look any better? Nope. Not really. Going to stay kind of hot there across a big portion of the country, except for our friends up there in the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, we got that big trough out there, so it'll stay a little bit on the cooler side up that way as we go deeper into the month. This is going from the 19th to the 25th. What about precipitation-wise? All right, a little drier out there in the Intermountain region. We're seeing a little drier out here, but still showing it kind of above normal across the high plains there into the Midwest and across the Southeast. That's going from the 17th to the 21st. And as we go deeper into the month, 8th to the 14th, notice we're not seeing as much green on the map, starting to trim away that a little bit. Again, as that ridge starts to build itself there, we're going to start seeing less and less green on this map here. So from the 19th to the 25th, still looking a little bit wet here across areas of the south, the east, and then we're dry out here in the west. But I really think we'll see more brown here start to take place here in the middle of the country, especially if that ridge holds there for any length of time. And that can start to kind of upping the drought index. We're going to have to watch that closely as we go deeper into the month of June if that ridge sits there and that heat also starts to build over the same area. So although we're getting into the month of June and things aren't really slowing down weather-wise, we still got some active thunderstorms we have to track. We have flooding we have to watch out for. Obviously, the tropics are going to be of big interest as we get deeper and deeper into the month of June and into the summer months. So again, I do appreciate everybody checking out the channel. And if you'd like to make this a regular feature in your YouTube feed and you'd like to support one of the little guys, me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you could, and hit that notification bell so you're alerted on when I do these updates. We do lives from time to time. We will definitely be doing a live wall-to-wall coverage all hurricane season long. So if you'd like to participate in that as well, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please share this with your family and friends. Invite them to come over here and be part of the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. All right, that's y'all's update for today. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next update. Until then, y'all have a great day. Bye, guys.